So, hi and welcome back. This is Unreal Engine 5 tutorial series for beginners. This is video number 4, I think. And we continue with our overview. We stopped here on this line. We talked about all the things what we see here on this task line, and now we are talking about the scene here, what we see here, and here the options. Let's get started. What we have here on the left is, I click on it, I don't know it myself, there are some options, and actually I never used them very often. So you can go here, set your own settings, just watch it through. They are not very important. They probably you set this one time in your life and then not. Perhaps this one could be interesting. Show FPS. If you check your FPS status or stats, I click on it and yeah, whatever, it's not on. And here when I click on advanced stat, let's get rid of this one. Anyway, you make this. This is not so important, I think, but I'm not sure because I never used this really in doing something. Just set it one. On the other side, this one is probably more important, but only to know, not to use. And what I mean is perspective, because what you see right now, the scene here, it's called the perspective mode. So when we go, for example, to the top mode, it is just like it said, we watch the top mode, but now it looks a little bit weird, right? And this is the wireframe top mode. Wireframe means you see more or less the skeletons. So on top. So let me see if I can change this. Is this possible? I'm not sure about this myself, but important is you can. There is probably a way to change this. Yeah, here on the right side. You see, this is wireframe. Wireframe, we see the inside of the objects. For example, let's go back to our perspective mode. And here is the circle, right? I click on this one. And now I change this to the top mode, and this one was selected, and you can see it is a top view. And here it says it is wireframe, and this is not the thing. This is most time the thing what we want, but right now let's go here. Unlit would be without lit. This also not. Actually, I never used this so much. I just used wireframe, I think. And yeah, because in this case you can now make here some optimization from the top view. That's why you go to the top view and so on. Anyway, let's continue. We have then the bottom view. Now you watch it from the bottom side and left and right and so on. You get it. And then here it says the default view, cinematic viewport. Let's click this one. Makes it also not very important. Let's go back to the default view and let's go back to our perspective view. So this is the main thing what you should know is this view, what you just see here is the perspective view, and this is probably the most case what you use it. And the other views are most time for modeling. Like one more time, if you are modeling something, you are level designing, and then you want to place it accurately, then you can do this here. Okay, let's go on. I change it to perspective view, and then we have here some options. It says view modes like before. We have the wireframe mode. You can see in perspective mode we changed now to the wireframe mode, which we saw before, but now with the perspective view you can see I can see all the insides and so on. And then what we have here, daylight, and then so on. You watch this and so on. The problem is here, what was the default view? That's good. I don't know because I never used that. I hope I can go back, and I think it was the lit view. Yeah, I think So let's go on. Okay, you can see it looks normal, then it's okay. Something like that. Check this out, just play around. And here is something interesting to note. And we have here new options compared to Unreal Engine 4. And that is this one, Lumen and Nanite visualization. And probably we have here some other options too, but the most new features are probably this two. They are very interesting, and I think this needs again a special video. We are not talking about that. One side note, probably I'm not sure if I'm going to use that at all because my PC is actually low. Probably I will use Nanite and Lumen a little bit, but I don't know if this will be very good. We will see. Okay, let's continue. And in your case, if you have a good PC, of course use this both features here. They are very powerful, and learn them, I think, would say. And yeah, let's go on. We have here show means just options you can select or deselect, and then it will be showed in the scene. For example, let's say what I don't want. I go here and say don't show me the grid. Actually, we don't see here any grid, right? That's wrong. There was grid, but we could still not see it because it was covered with anything else. Let's see what something else. Let's see static meshes. That's interesting. When I click now on don't show static meshes, you see all the things what we have here. There are static meshes, they are disappearing. So you can see this is just an option to select and deselect things, and then you can concentrate only on that what you are interested in. So let's go on. Then we have here scalability, and this was before in one video before we had this too, and you see this one is very important, so they made it here even a special place here. That's nice, because now if you have a good PC, just go high or epic, or if you have a powerful PC, go for cinematic. Just remember one thing: this one will most time work very easy, but it depends on the textures. What I mean with textures is if you have probably heard about 2K textures, this 2K, 4K, and crazy is of course when you go with 8K and above. Because if you have 8K textures, which looks very nice, absolute perfect, but believe me or not, you need a really powerful PC to run this kind of textures at all. Because yeah, this keep this in mind. The higher the textures, the better the PC, your PC must be good, your graphic card must be good. And in my case, I have a very old PC, very bad graphic card, so I stay in medium. Or even low, perhaps. Low, careful, it looks not good. That's the problem. Let me click low, and you can see, okay, this one looks still good because it is very, we can see a very basic shapes. But when we have more graphics, more realistic graphics, and so something like that, and you click on low, they will not look that good. So let's click on low, and shadow I go off. Low, it's almost off. Okay, that's that. We've finished with that. Let's see what we have here. Here we have some tools. So here we have select object. I can select it. Here, select and translate object, which means I can select it and translate it. Translate means here I can move it around. For example, so you see these arrows here. I can use these arrows to change the position of the object which I have selected, and so on. And yeah, then let's go for the first one again. Select is, you can see there is no translation, right? So I have not the arrows to move it around. So, and this one is most time the default setting, select and translate object. Then we have the arrows, because most time you want make something like that, you want to change the position, move it, and so on. Then we have here select and rotate object. Now we can rotate the object like so, or like you want. Then you can click here and scale the object, which means just you make it bigger or smaller, depends on what you want. And let's continue. Important note here is, of course, instead of going all time here on top, you can learn the shortcuts. In this case, it is you just select this one, and then you have here, for example, W for this mode. It's translation, which means you can move it around and get a new position. Or you use E for rotation. You see it's changed very fast, and here R for the scaling. And later you should use the shortcuts probably, but at the start just know that you can do it with mouse clicks here on top too. But for convenience, of course, key using is faster. Then let's go back here. Let's delete that, what we have here, and go on. So on this side we see again a switch between local and world transform, but I go not in detail with this one, because this one you need later for when you start modeling and level designing or anything like that. Then they will explain this more in detail and make examples. Let's go on. So it's not used here most time, and most time it is the, let me say that I think the most time it's world location, not local location. I think so, not sure, because when we watch this one, when I click one, you see this one is now world location, I think, and when I click on this one, now it's local location, something like that. I'm not sure. Never used it. Okay, control how objects snap. Okay, this is snapping. Yeah, snapping means for example, you bring these two objects together, and instead of doing manual by going zooming in, you can set a snapping, and it just automatically snaps to the other objects. It's very convenient if you make it right, not like me right now, which you can see I messed it already up anyhow. And yeah, we go on. Then we have here enable disable snapping grid. This is again snapping. Like I said, you can change here the settings, and what we have here, enable disable snapping objects with rotations, and then we have here enable disable snapping again objects to scaled grid. So these are all snapping options. Like what we have here, this one is interesting actually, the camera speed. So why is this camera speed interesting? The problem is, if you have a very big screen, right, not so small, a very big world, it's called a world or landscape or whatever level, then this camera can be too slow. What I mean with that is, I want to reach the far end here on the edge, for example, and with the speed of 4, I would need more than 30 seconds to go to this point. But instead I can just make a very high speed, and now I fly there like a rocket. But I have a problem. With a very high setting, I can't aim for very short distance very well. Right, and what you do is, if you are near enough, change it back, and now you can here aim again a little bit. Or even if you want it very close, for example, you go to an object, and now you say, hey, I want this move. The closer you come to an object, the camera is moving very fast. So then you go here very down, and now you see the camera is very moving yeah, it's moving slow now, slower than before, and that's very convenient to watch, analyze, or do something with this object. Okay, this is very important, I would say. From all things here on top, the most important thing is here the camera setting and this free location, rotation, and scaling, because that is the most thing what I used. Then we have here maximize or restore this viewport. This one is, I never used it that much, but it's very convenient when you are going for a level design. Then you can here see all the different views again. You see here again our back view, our right view, our top view. We had this already, right? And now click here. We had this here already, right? On perspective, top, bottom, and right. And here you have all four on the same time. That's very convenient if you are working on a level, like I said. And then you can go here, change it, go back, and then jump it to this view again. For example, here you watch this, then you are doing something here, then you go here and say, oh, wait a second, let's click here, and it jumps here, and then I change it here anyhow, and I can see the result here and here. Very nice for level design, and this is not a part of this video, so this will be talked again in the place there. So, and the last thing, I think, before we go on, this outliner details, world settings, and so we are talking in the next video. But one more thing, very important, and I have forgotten to mention it at the start, is how to move in the editor. In this editor, you are using the key bindings ASDW for yes, you use them, but if you click now ASDW, it happens nothing, right? The reason is you need to use the mouse as well. So you click with the mouse button, the right mouse button, and hold it. So the first thing what you do is left mouse button, clicking, hold it. When you hold it and move the mouse, then you can rotate, but you can't move. Then you use the key binding, like I said, ASDW, while you're holding the left mouse button, and you can move around. And you can see the speed of your movement depends, like I said before, on this camera speed here. For example, you make it a little bit higher, then we move a little bit faster. Again, so how we make it? One last time, because this is very important. Left mouse button, click, you can rotate. Still hold it and use the keys ASDW to move around here in the scene. So I think I stop here, and in the next video we go to the outliner a little bit, the details, worlds, and then later we go to the bottom and so on. See you there. Bye.